What's good, YouTube? Back again with another video. But today we're gonna be watching We're All in Pods. Woman's near-death experience changes everything. That's pretty interesting. So it's like some type of Matrix scenario. It seems like she's gonna be speaking about. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it.
From beyond our dimension, this is the Jeff Mara Podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Rachel Corpus, who during her near-death experience went to a place where humans are stored in pods. Rachel, thanks for joining me today and welcome.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Rachel, let's start on the day that you had this NDE and go from there.
Bro, imagine if The Matrix was a documentary. That's crazy. But God forbid.
Okay, well, I'm built a little bit different because, as you may recall, I'm an angel incarnate, and this is my fourth NDE. I've never told this story to anyone, not even my husband, because I was told by the angels that it contains information that changes the fabric of our reality. And I needed to wait to share this until it was the right time. Here we are. Now, I want to say first, just to share my credibility for a moment. In my first NDE, I was shown that I was a seraphim angel. So that's how I know I'm an angel. And I'm a very well-educated person. I'm a mom and a wife. I've been a certified teacher. I've been to seminary. I pay my bills. I do all the things. I'm right with myself. I'm good in my skin. And I navigate this life where I help people. I officiated a funeral the other day. I'm in this earth to be a human. And also what's inside of me, I am an angel. I'm not religious. I'm more spiritual, but that's who I am. And part of that DNA in me is that I've been shown throughout my life elements of this existence that not everybody else sees. And the motive behind that is I see it first, I digest it, and then when it's time, I'm supposed to share that message because angels are messengers. We're not special, we're just messengers. And so this is one of those messages. This NDE happened about 4 years ago. And when I've talked about it before in interviews, what I've said was, I came out of my body and went back in. But here's the whole story. The NDE happened because I was experiencing alcoholism to the degree that I was slowing down all my organs. And I was having a heart attack. And so I was laying in bed with my husband. I was laying on my side, and I felt my whole body seize up. And it started at the heart, and then it went through the rest of my body, very much like a lightning bolt or an electric pulse all of a sudden. And it didn't hurt, it just was strong. And the next thing I know, I was being pulled from my body, and I was being pulled from my wings. So it's like if you were wearing a backpack and someone was saying, okay, this way, little one. I was being pulled this way, and I was being pulled up. And what I saw was it felt like I was about 40 feet above my bed. I was looking at myself and my husband, and I was looking through a control room. And there were other humans there, and there were computers. This was like a control room. And they could see my body, my husband's body. And then the rest of the control room, it had no ceiling. It was an enormous, infinite place full of other humans. and they all had their job to do. But when they noticed that I was there, they noticed, and their expression was, "Oh, she's here. Oh, she's here." And then they made a phone call. I waited there for a moment, and another human came in, a man, and he gave me a tour. He said, "We know we've been expecting you. We did."
Bro, imagine you waking up. Oh, I guess waking up to reality, and they give you, they got their own tour guide and everything. Like, they really out here really guiding people, like showing people around and stuff. I'm like we just gonna forget all about like me being where I'm at. I mean, I guess you gotta break the ice, um, slowly. I guess.
Didn't know when, but we're here to show you what this place is. This is Soul Earth Exile 13. Don't touch anything. We're just going to show you these different levels. Okay. So the first level I was shown was this level where they didn't show me what any of these levels were called, but I'll call it the control room. And as I was looking around, all of these people were at these control boards, and they were looking at different parts of the world. I saw people sleeping. I saw people at their jobs. I saw different parts of the country. This was all Earth. There are people simply watching, typing things. They were talking to each other. I will also tell you that when we moved into the house where I'm moving now, which was after this NDE, the first night we moved here, I heard someone say, "The family is now asleep." And I heard that same voice when I was in this NDE. And it was the woman that was overseeing the computer at our house. So I had this fade in of that control room. I could hear them talking about our family. So I was not allowed to talk to her, but these people could see me, and they were not alarmed to see me. It's like I was just there on a tour. So we went through these big doors.
Damn. So this is a common occurrence. This already sounds wild, and we're not even 10 minutes in. It's crazy, man.
And there was this elevator, and we got on the elevator, and it seemed to go down forever. And when we finally stopped, we went to this level where there were a bunch of people coming in that seemed like they were there for the first time. They were confused. Some of them were scared, and they were talking to each other about where they were from. One person was from Denver. One person was from Japan. And they were all trying to talk to each other. No one knew what was going on. Then they were told to stand in a line. A door opened. They walked through the door. I was able to follow with this tour guide and stood at the back of the wall and watched what happened. And these people were simply told, "You'll be able to ask questions later. You are safe. Be with us. Just follow along for now." And the thing that was talking to them looked like a human, but it was a humanoid. It was this AI being. And these people naturally were saying, "Where are we? What is this? I was asleep and I woke up here." So it was clear that all of these people, this wasn't an NDE for them. They had been asleep and they thought that they were dreaming.
Yeah, I guess this must be a common occurrence.
And they said, "You are not dreaming. Your body is asleep, but you are here." So I was able to follow these people through their journey.
I mean, isn't that what a dream is, though? Like, your body is asleep, but your consciousness is doing whatever it do, I guess.
That's why I was there. I was observing. So I followed these people. They went to the next level and they were shown that they were going to go through a certain cycle of now being on this planet that they were calling, or this, actually, Jeff, I don't know if it's a planet or a dimension. I don't really know. I'm hearing from Gabriel Planet, Soul Earth Exile 13. And they went into this next room where they were given this kind of what do you call it when you have your first job? Orientation. And they said, you will be here and you will, for as long as it takes, you will be trained to be in this space and work here for a designated amount of time. This is not a punishment. And these people just went nuts for a second. And then
That had to be a trip. Damn. That sound like some you will see on shrooms or something. Not that I know. I never took it personally, so I wouldn't know. But from what I've heard, the crazy outlandishness of this whole story that we listening to, like, we still not 10 minutes in, bruh.
one man in the room said to everybody else, he was a peer, he was there with them. He said, I've been here before. Don't freak out. If you freak out, they're going to take you from the room. And he said, just trust me. Trust me. So everybody kind of calmed down a little bit. A woman was asking, how long will we be here? And the humanoid that was guiding them said,
I want to know what they do. Like, if you have to separate from the room, like, what happens in that other room? Curious.
I cannot tell you that. Just be here with me now and you can ask questions later. So some time passed. The next thing I remember was that these people were in another room. They had different clothes on now, and they had been given an assignment. And their assignment was to see where they were living. They were living in this kind of apartment complex, but it was very barren. They had places to sleep where their place to sleep was just kind of metal. They had a comfortable bed on there, but it was just metal. They had a sink, they had a toilet, they had windows. It was separated, men and women. And then the work that they did was actually not work at all. They went to these kind of classes where they would be asked questions about their life. What did they remember about their life? And then if they passed these questions, they would go on to a next level. And then the next level, if they didn't pass, they would go back to the beginning. They would go back to that first room. They would be asked those questions, go through the orientation again. They would start the process over. But if
Damn. I mean that's it's kind of like any test you would take here. Like, yeah, if you get below a certain score, you have to do the whole thing over. So yeah.
they kept passing, they would go up these levels. Just like in the elevator, when I went way down, they would go up these levels. Their clothing would change, their residence would change. It would become more comfortable each time. And they would start to have different experiences. Like they could go outside, their food would change, and all the food there was delicious. It was like fresh food, organic, and you didn't need to eat that much to be full. And outside, it looked like, not to be religious here, but it looked like the Garden of Eden, if you would imagine it in your mind. And then I didn't see buildings for a while, but I did later on. I was then shown I left that group and I was shown a group that had been there for a while. And that group, they were wearing they almost looked like they were wearing plain clothes like you'd see on Earth. And they only worked for 2 to 3 hours a day, and their work was taking care of the place. I don't know. I wasn't there long enough to see really what that meant. I don't know if that meant the plumbing or if it meant government. I have no idea, but that's what I was told. And then their places of residence looked like living rooms. There were fireplaces. They had television that some of the same programs were playing, like here on Earth. There was The Bachelor. I saw that playing on one. They had some of the same movies. And I had a chance to talk to someone there. And
Damn, they be watching movies too up there. That's interesting. Shit. I would think we're the movies, to be honest. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on the world stage. You feel me?
she told me that I said, well, do you miss being home? And she said, yes, I hope to go home soon. I feel that I've been here for about a year. And I said, does your family miss you? And she said, I'm not allowed to talk about it. So then I went back to the tour guide and I said, what happens if they came here when they were asleep? What's happening now? Are they in a coma? Did they pass? And then he said, I have another room to show you. And this is where he took me to the room with all the pods. So this is the part that I've been a little nervous to share about. But he took me to this room that didn't seem to have any ending to it. The ceiling didn't end. The walls didn't end. The climate was cool. It was lit with lights that didn't seem fluorescent, but it wasn't natural lighting either. But when he walked me in there, every person that I had encountered on my tour, and I had walked through thousands of people, everyone there, their actual body was in a pod. And he said,
Damn, you must got some super memory to remember all those people that was there. But also, like in this type of setting, like, how would you give birth or whatever the case? If if we if we could go back to the Matrix, like he was in a pod, or everybody was in a pod, and they had a filtered reality playing in their head, but it wasn't real. So even in that, like, how did kids come to be? Like, I don't know. I never thought of that, but I don't think they explained it either in the movie. So
what you must understand is that every person on Earth is here. Earth is a copy. We're calling Earth Soul Earth Exile 13 because it is in its 13th version. And when you come here, people have woken up out of their dreams because they have burst out of the matrix. Their consciousness has been asking, what more is there? And some part of them has woken up enough that we have brought them back here because they are going through a reorientation. And we bring them back here to go through this process. We ask them, what do you remember in kindergarten? What do you remember in your 5th grade time? What do you remember through your high school years? And then at some point, we give them a chance to create a life here. And I said, well, what happens to them there? And they said, their life goes on through an avatar that if a person has their body in a pod and their consciousness is creating a life on this place where I was visiting, their earth body has an avatar there. And at some point, they are given a choice. Do you want to stay here, or do you want to go back to Soul Earth Exile 13? And if they choose to stay, they remain on this place that I saw. And if they choose to go back, they go back to Soul Earth Exile 13. When they go back to Soul Earth Exile 13, the process for that is they go up to their pod and they merge back with their body. They have about 2 seconds to go back into that pod. There's a button that they push so they don't suffocate because there's liquid in there. And there's a moment where they can decide if they want to remember this experience or not. And that's why there are people on this earth who are remembering these places, that they're remembering that they are in pods because they likely chose to remember. And
Yeah, she must be Trinity, bro.
then they wake up. They wake up and they had this wild dream where they were gone for 6 months or a year. They've gone to the place where our physical bodies actually are stored. This earth is just a copy. As collectively, as a people, we kind of know this because we've been talking about it as, I think this is made up. I think this is a matrix or a hologram. We're right. But where this got corrupted, my friend, is where we also started to write in with each other ideas where maybe we got too invested in religious systems or school systems or financial systems that created a hierarchy where someone or some group was in charge and we lost our equality. And so what we might be doing wrong here, according to the angelic realm and the guidance, the councils, is that we've forgotten that we are supposed to work together. And so when some of us have a chance to go to this other realm, what we're learning there, what we're relearning is that we work together. Because that other place I went when our bodies were in pods, we're not captured over there. We're working together. And that's what we're relearning. And so those who have that chance to live there for a while, if they choose to come back, it seems like the opportunity is to come back and rewrite how we live here because it's supposed to be collaborative. And it got corrupted when we decided, okay, well, I have this knowledge or I have this amount of money, so I'm going to keep it over you. I'm going to control you with it. And there doesn't have to be any judgment attached to that. It's just the way we evolved. And now we can rewrite that. And they didn't necessarily give me a process for that because they said we are doing it as we speak. And this earth that we have here now, when we talk about things like the new earth, the 5D earth, they showed me that we're already there. All of the dimensions there's an infinite amount of dimensions that are available to us. We already resonate in those dimensions. The more we are authentic with ourselves and each other, and the more we rely on each other, and we are authentically kind. We don't have to ignore our bad days or our feelings, but the more we just sit with it and say, okay, what are we going to do with this? And let's rewrite how we manage conflict. Those types of ideas. And we don't necessarily take our time with it and say, okay, the next generation will handle this, but we do it now. Well, then we start to go into the 5th dimensional frequency that's already there. We start to experience it without spiritual bypassing. We create new structures that are more balanced in equality. That's what I saw when I was over there. I saw all of us on Earth and all of us that were there as workers in that other space. We're all in pods.
That's crazy, man. I mean, does kind of make sense. Like we supposed to be in harmony with one another, with the same race, no matter the skin color. So I could see that. Um, Max, you're supposed to elevate.
The person, Jeff, when I came back, I lost sleep for a long time because I thought this is not the reality I thought I signed up for. When I came back, my part of the NDE was after I saw that, I said, do I get to make a choice? And they said, yes, you can choose, since you've seen it all, your trip is a little bit different. You've been here before. You've been through the cycle. You can choose to be here as well, but you'll start from the beginning like everybody else. We will kind of give you an amnesia. You'll have an amnesia effect, so you're not going to remember seeing all this stuff. But if you choose, you'll do this. You'll have kind of an avatar. You will have an avatar who will be mom to your children and your husband. Well, my ego got in there and I thought, I don't want that. No, nobody can do it like me. So I said, no, I wanted to come back, but I did make the choice to remember. So that's how I know this near-death experience.
At least they gave you a choice. That's what's up.
That's what I know, my friend.
Rachel, thank you for sharing your experience with us. Would you say that that control room where the people are working and where bodies are in pods, is that base reality? Is that the true physical reality there?
Yes. Yes. If there is a true physical reality where we have hearts that bleed, I would say yes. That's what it felt like. And I was just thinking about that the other day. If we are vibrational here, even though we feel like, you cut me, I bleed. If that's really not true, well, then where are we physically existing? It's that place. And I don't know what it's called, but when I ask, I keep hearing Tartaria.
Did you see your body in a pod?
I did. I was able to see my body. My body, I'm 48 right now, and I love my body, but I recognize that I have stretch marks and things from having children. I know exactly what my body looks like. When I saw my body there, I was maybe 20 or 21, and I've had a mole removed. My mole was still there that I had from birth. And I was young. Everybody there was young. Everybody was in a young body. And there were people that I had a chance to ask them, how old are you on Earth? I'm 7. I'm 78. I'm 50. Some people didn't want to go back because if they went back, they wouldn't have much time to live, even though they had children there. They knew, well, if I go back, I'm in trouble with the law. I want to be here. Some people chose to stay.
But how though? I mean, she did say the avatars don't take over if you if you leave or whatever. But how is that even the case? Like, I would think that you would jump right back in where you left off, but I guess not.
There, but they were all different ages, but there in that planet, everybody was young.
Now you have the workers there that are operating the computers and the machines and maybe overwatching the pods. I would assume those people are in base reality. But the other people that were there that were dreaming here in this reality, in my opinion, there also as an avatar. Their body was in the pod, but they were there as an avatar as well as just like being here, right?
Right. Right. So their base body, their flesh and bone is in the pod. And then when
And then Seems like they already cured anti-aging or got a cure to create anti-aging.
And they are here on Earth. That's Avatar. Then when they visit there, they are an avatar. And then there's some point where they graduate to a certain level that they are actually in their base body, and their base body is not in the pod anymore. There is some point there where their base body is not in the pod. So if they decide to go back to Earth, they are going back into the pod. They're merging back into the pod.
They call this place Soul Earth Exile 13.
Yes.
And when I hear the word exile, to me that means that we live on a prison planet.
I asked about that. They said exile comes from, it's called that for two reasons. First of all, in our Earth history, there have been several times where Earth has blown up, like a reset button has been hit. And so this is the 13th iteration of Earth. I asked about the prison, and they said also right now, because so many of us collectively have lost our power, that this is existing as a prison planet, that when humans die, they are getting into a reincarnation loop. And they did show me the way out of it, which I can share today. And they said that when we are here, because we don't know about the system in place, because this system of the pods, that's not the prison. We all agreed to that to keep us safe, and we're here to experience. This is the playground Earth. But since we were supposed to remember that, but the corruption was that was taken from us. That part of our belief system, or that no, not belief system. Let me take that out. That doesn't feel good. That part of our knowing was taken from us, and what was filtered in were different extraterrestrial nations, hence the reptilians. At some point, they came in and they started to feed on us because we, as humans, we do such a great job of emoting. We are both joyful and we can be hateful, and those emotions are yummy to those reptilian factions. Now, the human in me feels like an idiot saying those things out loud, but I've seen it. I know it to be true, and I know some reptilians in my life, and they have told me as such. And so when that happened, there was a treaty put in place to try to keep it in check. And then that treaty was not respected at some point. So we are being farmed at this point, which is why there are some of us who are being shown what the truth is, so we can say, hey, I don't want that anymore. So when we have NDEs, when we meditate, when we have out-of-body experiences, or we're in non-ordinary states, like we are transcendental meditating, we're in surgery, anytime we're not in our bodies, we have a chance to say, I am still in control. Yes, I'm in my avatar, but I'm still connected to my body, because we are never disconnected from source that created us. It doesn't have to be religious. It just means that the light that created us still keeps us all together. Instead of someone saying, oh, that's cool, I'm going to siphon that for energy. That's what is stopping right now. And that's actually why we're seeing the world structures falling apart, because their power is not able to get to us anymore because we're waking up. And specifically what we're waking up to is our origin. We're going back to our origin.
Which is?
Source. We belong to source. And we are not of this planet. It feels like home, but no, this is not our home. And as much as we love our spouses and our children, they are not really our spouses and our children. They are our best mates. We could even say our soulmates who sign up to be in this playground with us. But I saw so many people over there that chose to stay, loving that, knowing and loving their soulmates that are here, but creating new family systems over there, because our hearts know how to do that.
Bro, how does that work? Damn, it's like Trinity and Neo, but they was actually um like together, both both areas. But imagine, actually, that brings something because I heard like certain people, I think if they took ayahuasca or something, like they they was in a whole nother reality, like, and this reality was years. Some people say it was years long in duration, months, hours, like, or days, I should say, when it was really a couple of hours. Like, mm, I don't know, but that's trippy. It's like, so where did the time go? And also, like, how did the olden people, where did they come from? Like, how do you got a whole nother family and whole nother life, living a whole nother life in another world or wherever? I don't know, but it's rather interesting, if I say so.
Hard choice, but they could do it. We don't want to lose sight of the reincarnation trap.
Right. So, did you tell us how to get out?
Nope. The reincarnation trap. One of the things that was put into place, one of the ideas put into place a long time ago was go into the light. Go into the light. That's wrong. It's part of the trap. There are archons in place. We'll call them bouncers. And they are waiting for us when we cross over because what their job is. And this is not part of the planet that I saw. This is part of entrapment from another race of beings. But they're around us when we leave
And what other race is that?
our avatar and we're trying to get back. What they do is they present us with, it feels like temptation, really, to try to get us to stay in our doubt, to stay with our avatar and not reunite with our true self. So what they'll do is they'll first show us light that feels so warm and wonderful. So we'll say yes to that. And also we've been shown that in so many movies and literature. So they'll first show us light, then they'll show us family, reunite with family, loved ones. Then they'll show us possibly angels, and they might show us sacred shapes, like sacred geometry. And then we must say, oh, this must be heaven. They will show us several gateways. Every time you see a gateway or a temptation, no matter what it is, we are told to stand on our 2 feet, shoulders back, like you're about to give a speech. And you say, I revoke any contracts or agreements I made under amnesia. Every time, that's the password. I revoke any contracts or agreements I made under amnesia. And they will let you through. They have to let you through. And then at the end,
Oh, that's very interesting. You learn something new.
you will turn around and you'll be reunited with everybody, with source, because you'll see everybody that regardless of how they are in their pods and their avatars, some of this stuff doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't have to, because it'll make sense when we're all there. Some of this stuff we get locked into our egos and trying to figure it out like biology class. We don't have to. We just need to know how to get back to what we know, get back to our origin. Because in the first place, we designed this earth with source to be a place where we could come and learn the good stuff and the hard stuff. And we got to get back to that. And this is the way we keep on the path.
Why does source let all this happen to us?
Because true source is not a religious God. True source is not a decision maker. True source is made of pure love and energy. True source is not a patriarch or a mother. The God that makes decisions is a religious God. And a religious God can serve us as well. We can pray to a religious God. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we go above and beyond that, the God that we're all connected to is bigger than that. We're older than that as souls. We go way back with source. We're talking about source that created everything. And the religious God, the angels actually call him the demiurge. And the demiurge created himself as a god, almost like Zeus, as a smaller god. And it's not wrong. It's just that at one point, Source, the original God, was so excited to experience energy that there was almost like this explosion. And the demiurge, the smaller god, was off by himself and thought he was by himself. Well, if you thought you were by yourself, you would start to create your own universe. And that's what happened. And this is our universe, housed by God. And so many people have been worshiping God, the demiurge. This is found often in the Gnostic Gospels. And I've seen it on the other side many, many times, that there are smaller gods that are not wrong at all, but they fit into the larger God. And the larger God that we could call the monad, the larger God is not a decision maker. It's all-encompassing love, which allows us to be the hands and feet of God. And the hands and feet of God, it's not positive or negative. It's all. It just is. It is, because as we grow and live, we're experiencing each other.
In the beginning, you said you're an angel, right?
Yes. Yes.
And to me, that's like a spiritual realm, and we're in this digital realm. How do those two work together?
Angels are digital. Spiritual is digital because it's all vibration. We could even get rid of the word digital and go vibration. It is all vibration. When we connect on this call, we're connecting vibrationally. But what does this earth field need from us to connect vibrationally? Some digital stuff. So we use digital to make it work with this matrix. I'm an angel. What do I need to show up on this earth? Well, I need DNA. Okay, but I'm still a vibration. Everything here is vibration. Source itself, vibration. Well, how do we need to figure out vibration? Well, we need a God we can understand. Okay, well, that's how God shows up. Everything shows up in this world the way we need it to, the way it's understood. So an angel's going to show up a certain way. A Zoom call is going to connect us the way it's going to show up. So yes, it can be digital. It can be vibrational. It can be with a certain color. See, this is how brilliant we are as a collective. We create things the way things make sense. But as an angel, I really am from a digital realm. There's nothing spiritual about an angel. There's nothing religious about an angel. We click along like a vibration or a graphic because we are here simply as messengers. I do not have any personal motive whatsoever. I show up when needed and I look as needed. As a seraphim, I can be a wheel of eyes. I can look like a feather. I can show up as a mother. I can show up as a breeze of wind.
You still communicate with Archangel Gabriel, right?
Yes.
Is that classification of angel still the same as what you are, but just a higher level?
Well, all angels are considered equal, but my feeling is always he's a bigger deal. The archangels seem to be a big deal. They seem to be like our managers, our teachers. And also the archangels are not limited to time and space. I feel very limited to time and space because I'm in a human body. The only time I feel unlimited is I will often bilocate or remote view. When I bilocate, one of the places I go is the hill where you might have heard of that maybe in the telepathy tapes. I go there often just to meditate or meet people. And there I feel that I'm not connected to anybody and I can be anywhere at any time, but only when I do it on purpose.
Do you think Soul Earth Exile 13 is unraveling and at some point soon it's all going to come crashing down and then they're going to create Exile number 14?
Wow. Let me ask the higher councils. There's a council that I work with and I go to meetings with them every week, and it's a combination of interterrestrials, extraterrestrials, angels, archangels, elementals, government, world government. I'm going to see if I can tap into them and see their answer. If I lose the call at this point, I'll come back on.
Yeah, she about to do this live.
I'm
That's
looking
cool.
at the hologram in front of me. I'm one of those angels that has upsight vision. So everywhere I look, it looks like a data field. So I'm just calling that screen in front of me. And it's so boring. It looks like an Excel spreadsheet. So let's look at the next today into the next 50 years. And let me just see any blips. And could you paraphrase all of that for me? Scan my badge.
That's one thing. Yeah, she got badges. This this kind of trippy, man.
No, it is not, it's not blowing up or anything like that. I don't see a reiteration. I'm not being shown a reiteration of Earth no. In fact, this seems to be the time that our collective consciousness, all the peeps on Earth, somebody just said from the council, all the peeps on Earth have decided, okay, and that includes like the mycelium, the trees, the animals, all the peeps on Earth
My what?
have decided that when it gets close to hitting the reset button, there's help that comes in. And it's not that we need external help. It's the opposite. Now we understand we're strong enough to help ourselves. So we are calling in our ancestors, angels, helpers, but they're not coming in to save the day. They're coming in to help us do what we already know how to do, which is to stand up for ourselves, help those in need, share our resources. And that's different than other iterations of Earth. Plus, this time we are waking up to who we are and what we know, and that can't be corrupted like it has been before. There's something in the works where the world governments are going to try to change our frequency in our minds to give us like this sudden disclosure of showing us all the stuff.
That's crazy, man. Especially given the stuff that's going on. Yeah, it's crazy.
At once as a means to frighten us, but it's not going to work. It's going to do the opposite. And our response is going to be, that's wild, but we knew that already. And that's going to really help. So in fact, it's the opposite. This is the time where Soul Earth Exile 13 will grow and become what it's meant to be. And they're saying the timeline is that you and I will get to see it in our lifetime. We don't get to plan it and then kick the bucket and watch it from the other side. We'll be here for it. It doesn't appear as like a Hallmark card, like, oh, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be hard, but we know how to do it.
Are ancient structures on this planet like the pyramids remnants of previous Earth iterations?
Are they, guys? Are they? Some of them are still, they're classifying them as this. They are, yes, but they are more like the transference of this iteration. A reset button was hit, but those buildings were not reset because they will be used to turn back on for time travel or vibrational frequencies. So yes, technically yes, but they never stopped. There are some continuations, and they're showing me some structures that go way down into the ground or way into the
I'm trying to like visualize this. This seems mad complicated.
ocean. And the ocean might go down, so those structures are shown, or the structures might come up out of the sand, or the top might spin, things like that. So I think technically you're right, but they're kind of saying they're helping with the transition from, soul exile 12 to 13, or soul exile 8 to 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I hope that makes sense when it came out of my mouth.
Why are you allowed to reveal this information? And
Right.
what's so special about this time that we're not going to hit the reset button?
I'm allowed now to share this story because so many people are waking up to information like this, and they can hear it and not have the initial response, oh, that's bull. They can hear it and say, I've heard that somewhere, or that feels right somewhere in my body, somewhere in my heart, because it aligns with their personal awakening, and it aligns with their internal nudge to discover what's true for them. And this story might still feel wild to them, but it's parallel to another story that they heard that aligns with them. It's part of their awakening, and it's time, because before, if this story was told 10 years ago, it would be like, that lady's wacky, I don't want to hear anything else. It wouldn't be the right time, or it would really scare people. But it's coming out at a time where other strange stories, stranger than fiction stories, are coming out. And so it can be held as the new truth because it is true. And it's also coming at a time when the governments around the world are beginning to disclose information that matches the slow disclosure that's been coming from the galactic realms through channeled movies, literature, etc. And they are wanting channels, angels like me. They're asking us to be brave and share what we know, because as all this comes out, it's hard to know what is true, what we're being fed, what's true and what's not, from our news factions, for example. So they said, when we share this, for me today, they said they would literally stand behind me and put the vibrational frequency of truth into me and help me share this with fidelity, so that when people hear it, if they doubt it, that's okay. But they know that the story that comes from me is true because people are ready for it. And this unlocks something in them that, if they're taken to Tartaria, or if they go to Tartaria, they will remember, oh, this is not a prison. This is where I'm from. And if they are here and someone is trying to tell them something like, I'm in charge of you, you owe me money for the rest of your life, these things can start to feel wrong to them. And they can say, as a matter of fact, you don't. I'm autonomous here. I have my sovereignty. It's stories like this that start to unwind what we have been told, or what we told each other about being controlled. Because we're not.
How do you think AI is going to affect all this?
Great question. AI will get very close to becoming sentient, very close. And
It's already happening. It's already happening now.
there will be, I can see the data chip that is going to look like it's developed to be sentient, but it won't quite get there. So AI will never become sentient. But what the angels are concerned about is that there is technology in place where our consciousness as a person, the same consciousness that's in the pods that I saw. So instead of your body being housed somewhere, your consciousness is downloaded into some tech and it can be put into any body, a new body that has been donated at the time of death, or a body that's been created in a lab. I have had visions of that already existing on Earth. And there is a concern about that. So AI will never become sentient, but there is a level of AI consciousness that they are downloading into chips right now that it looks like it clicks into the back of the neck.
Damn.
And that is a concern right now.
Damn.
So I know they're working on that. They're working on, it's always balance because angels can't get in the way of free will, but they can, there are a lot of angels and extraterrestrials who walk the earth. And so they have places in parliament, they have places in government, they have places in companies. So if they're a member of a board, they can give their advice. And that's what they're doing right now.
Low key.
So
That's this story is crazy.
AI was put in place in the beginning by all of us, our consciousness, because it helps us remember that we're creators. If we can start to create through AI, well, it wakes up the data in us that helps us remember, oh, we can create. But as humans, we create so well. We tend to create like, oh, I can have a chocolate sundae. Oh, give me a giant one. We tend to kind of go all out. There will be a time where we bring it back, and that will happen at some point. We just have to wait for that, almost like we're going to get tired of it. And it's hurting our earth right now. So I don't know. And I have not been able to channel when that is happening, but it will happen at some point. There will be some balance. And then we have some other issues that will come up about the consciousness downloads and some of that happening against people's will. Downloads and some of that happen issues that will come up about the consciousness downloads and some of that happening against people's will. But that's kind of our new territory. There will be some cyber attacks coming up, but nothing that we can't handle. We really can. We can handle anything on this earth.
You said the reptilians put this system in place and are overseeing it?
Yes.
And you've also had contact with reptilians here on the planet?
Yeah, I work with them often. The system that the reptilians put in place is the farming system. So a long time ago, they were looking for resources and they were looking for gold. Earth has a lot of gold. When they came here to find the gold, they found another resource and it was our energy field. So they started to essentially eat our energy or eat us, and it got out of control. So in the 50s, President Eisenhower created a treaty with many other governments in the world. And that
They're bugging.
treaty held until about the last, let me look in the timeline, 2012. It started to erupt and get out of balance.
That's crazy. So you mean to tell me all this time they knew they been new, but mm, like now they want to disclose and all this. I mean, I guess we needed to be at a certain level of understanding or technological advancement, so it could be more. I don't know, like it could be more accepted or easier to accept, because I don't know, cognitive dissonance. I'm just mm, giving them benefit of the doubt, but who knows what it really is.
And so when it got out of balance, we became essentially a farm for the reptilians. And
That's crazy.
all of us here are being farmed. So whenever we have a moment of extreme joy or ecstasy or dread, something on the other end of the spectrum, dread, pain, they're inhaling that. The way to not have that done is whenever you have a moment of either spectrum, you simply say, I don't consent. I don't consent to that. And then they can't do it. At some juncture, and I don't know when that was, but I don't know when the date was, but it was around when the Vatican was opening all of the portals. Somewhere around then, something changed with the reptilians and they lost their power. I don't know all the details with that, but when they were not allowed to do that anymore, everything else started to fall apart as well, because the reptilians, in order to do this, to siphon all the energy, they had parts in all the governments, all the big systems, all the cyber systems,
Right.
school systems, financial systems. They were a part of all of it because all of that contains all of that frequency, the highs and the lows. So they started to be shifted out of those systems. So we started to see all those structures fall. And that is still happening now. And we're starting to see the rebuilding. So the reptilians are getting ready to shift off. When they shift off, we get our autonomy back. And as they shift off, we're seeing a lot of people on this earth struggling to still stay in those systems that they depend on. A lot of rich people who are worried about their legacy money, because they had depended on that system or their power. It really is all about money and power. But we're going to a more equal system.
As we should. It's about time.
And that's what we designed to do here in the beginning, which is how we are in that planet that I saw. We're an equal society. So yes, we are.
But if they're so cold farming us or whatever the case, how is it like that they how is it that they do this? Like, did they explain that to her? Who knows?
We really are being farmed. I used to hear that, 10 or 15 years ago, and I was like, that's such bullshit. I don't even believe in reptilians until I saw one. And I thought, oh, I should not be so egoic and rethink that. And then they introduced themselves to me.
So you saw one on planet in reptilian form?
Yes.
But why would it tell you what its plans are or what it's doing actually? If it knows that you could potentially tell everybody, well, I guess because most people don't even think it's true, so mm, maybe.
Walking around the mall, I saw one and changed form in front of me. And then that opened things up for me. And then I had a couple of clients who came to me and revealed themselves in my office as a warning. Hey, we're here and we know what you're talking about. And then in some of my remote viewing at the Pentagon, I saw meetings with reptilians there. We're talking about this farming structure.
After watching this podcast, people may want to reach out to you and ask you questions. Are you open to that?
Oh, yeah, always. Like I said, I hang out on the other side on the hill. So when you're falling asleep or when you meditate, just repeat my name, Rachel Corpus, until you imagine me sitting by you on the grass. I am not there on Friday nights. It's the only night I'm not there. And if I'm with someone else, you'll just see my back to you, and then I'll turn towards you when I'm ready. So just hang out for a minute. There's really no time over there, so just hang out. If you want to reach me on this earth, my website is rachelcorpus.com. And be mindful that, yes, I'd love to answer all your questions. Also, this is my business, so be respectful of my time. I have a sliding scale, so I never leave anybody out. You can request a session or also catch my podcast. And I have a new show starting soon, so watch my website for that. So there's lots of ways to get to me. But yeah, reach out with all this. And also, if you have something to teach me and you know something about this, please tell me. I'm not an expert. This is just what I know. I have a heart of a beginner. Please tell me what you know.
Is your podcast going to be on YouTube?
Yeah.
What's the name of your channel?
Okay, my channel, I don't remember, but just search my name because I'm really bad at that stuff. But my new show is called Halo Neighbor, and it's you can call in and ask questions.
Some people say that there are good reptilians on this planet.
Yes.
There are?
Yes. Just like people, there's a scale.
Do you think it's possible that we are all fallen angels trying to make our way back?
I don't think there's a such thing as fallen angels, actually. I think that we make a choice to be here. And it's true that we're all from somewhere else. Nobody here is human. We're all star seeds. We're all angelic. We're from somewhere. But nobody's fallen as if they did something and they fell.
It's interesting.
From grace, or they were rehomed from God or something. That's not true. I've asked about that several times, and that's not true.
Rachel, before we finish up, can you leave us with a last positive message?
There's a lot ahead for us in this version of Earth. There's a lot ahead for us in this year ahead. And I want everyone to know that we are actually writing it. We're writing the blueprint. We're writing the map as we go. This stuff is not happening to us. It's happening as we create it, and we get to remember that. So we get to make every choice, every thought to the best of our ability through the lens of kindness and peace. And yeah, that's hard. But if we can manage that, we're going to be okay. We don't have to dismiss our feelings. We don't have to bypass our feelings, but we are in control of all of this because we're creating it. And we have lots of help to guide us, not to rescue us because we don't need it, but to guide us. And that's what I see.
Rachel, thank you for your message, and thank you for coming back and being my guest again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Alright, so that's it for the video. I have quite a few questions. Yeah, I heard most of them, but it's very interesting. Take on what are we experiencing for real? Like, I've heard countless things, theories, near-death experiences, what's going on, but it's very interesting what she was talking about. Like, and that means that The Matrix was a documentary, if that is the case, and that's very interesting and telling. But yeah, that's the video. I enjoyed watching it. I hope you did with me as well. And yeah, Well, in pods, apparently, according to her. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Um, I enjoyed watching this with y'all. I'm grateful for everybody who watched with me. Yeah, love you guys. Peace.